Hey everyone, how you doing? And welcome to another episode of Tea with Steve Live. It is the Heart Brand Sessions. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all enjoying it. And I hope you've all got over the previous interview with me and my daughter, because we just thought we'd throw something a little bit different in, but also get a perspective from what it's like to live with somebody who is online all the time. My next guest is gonna really give you a treat, because to say that she makes people look fabulous is a complete understatement. And I'm not going to give any more away than that. I'm going to bring my guest on, Jackie Perkins, and I'll let her tell you all about it. Jackie, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Steve. Yeah, really
excellent. Good. So for people who don't know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about you and what you do, and how you make people look amazing?
Well, I am, I guess primarily, as most people, I'm a parent. And so working from home, juggling all those things, that's the essence of what I do, because I started this particular stage of my career as an image consultant, which is essentially helping people look good. What I now do is I take that as part of my offering, and then I coach people and I support people either in groups or in a one-to-one session to join the dots and connect who they are, so that who they are on the inside is also how they show up on the outside. And the benefits from that, when you're coming from a purpose-led business, are phenomenal, because not only do you then look consistent with who you are, so when people talk to you, it all aligns, it makes sense, there's no mixed messages, but also you then attract your tribe, you attract the right people to work with you. It's not that you repel the ones that don't want to work with you, because it's not that they necessarily take a dislike. They just go, oh, that's not my kind of person, which is what we need to do to filter in life. So it's about joining the internal part of who you are to the external part of who you are. And the thing that I find fascinating is that when people set themselves up in business, they spend an awful lot of time on their logo, on their marketing materials, on their branding, and they don't consider themselves. And yet we are our most powerful marketing tool, because we're the people that we connect to other people through. Our brand lives in people's experience of us. Their experience of our business lives in their experience of us. So if you are self-employed, you are your business. If you're the one-man band, you are your business. If you work for a bigger organization, people's experience of that organization is through you. It's not this faceless entity, it's the human being that they interact with gives them the impression of it. So when we align the visual and the verbal, I love, in fact, I was out walking yesterday morning and the tornadoes were dogfighting overhead. I live in Peterborough, near Wittering, and I just love it. And I stood there and I thought, what I love is it's where man meets nature, and the power when they come in together and they create something together. And that's what we create when we can align our nature with who we are and go out there. It's just magic.
You tell that story. You can see you're getting really emotional about it. It's like you can tell that story is just like, okay, I'm drawn in. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Sorry. That was the short answer.
Don't ever apologize. Certainly not to me for sharing story. For me, you know, with everything we try and do online and anything we do, whether it be a pre-recorded video or digital or a live video or an image or a piece of written content, anything like that. If you can hook people like you just hooked me, nailed it. Absolutely.
It reminds me of when I first came across you 4 months ago at the start of lockdown. And I hooked into the Bob webinars. And I'd come across Lindsay and Darren 4 or 5 years ago when they were setting up just where my life was and theirs. I couldn't do much more with them, but I've sort of been following loosely on the sidelines. And then I spotted you and I realized that you were key in helping them with their social media. And so who's this Stephen Thompson? So I flipped out onto your LinkedIn and I just burst out laughing. And if you remember, I messaged you and I said, you got me at Heart Brand. I didn't need to read anymore. It's not necessarily words that I would have come up with, but it absolutely said what I do. So what I do for people is get them to tune into who they are and show that to the world. And you do that through the social media and the storytelling. And my friend who's an interior designer does the same thing through helping the home feel like it's my home. It's about tuning into who you are and creating that so that we feel comfortable in our own skin. We're not, you use the term unashamedly you, or is it
unapologetically you?
Unapologetic, and that's the thing. I'm me. If you don't like it, it's not a problem. If I'm happy, it's only a problem if I'm not happy in my skin.
Yes. The key piece right there is that happiness piece. Because if you're not happy with whatever you're saying, doing, being, or delivering, in any way, shape, or form, if you're not happy, then actually you're not you. So therefore, what you're doing outside of that is not you. It's all right. It could be a sad or negative version of you, but actually the real you, the real us, that heart brand piece is the happiness piece. And for some people, that's just a bit too woo-woo. It's a bit too hippie, and that's fine. But if you're not happy, chances are you're miserable.
Yeah, well, and the thing that this extended period of lockdown and restriction on our movements has created is actually learning to embrace both parts. But just because I feel unhappy right now doesn't mean I have to be unhappy. That's just, I've been supporting an awful lot of people in another part of my business, which is House of Colour. Yeah. And we have 100 image consultants that are mostly UK and US based, but all around the world. And the biggest thing that I've been able to support them with is realizing and recognizing it's just a roller coaster. Right. We're on a roller coaster, and sometimes we're up and sometimes we're down. But actually, we can't live up here all the time. No. That adrenaline, and this is don't get me on technology, but this is the problem, I think, with the kids. They're living in that adrenaline when they're on their gaming much, much more than they should be. And so then can they cope with the down? Because the down might just be in the middle. But compared to where they were, it's all relative. It's a really interesting challenge.
I was having that conversation with Carol Lombard last night on one of the videos, and it was about how actually, for me, what I've noticed with lockdown is we've spent less time around the dinner table because I'm busy. We've been very, very busy, and there are different meals and different meal times, and then the homeschooling throws things out, and then the kids might get up half an hour later or an hour later, and then we let that slip into our day. So the whole day the structure is kind of gone. But what I find is that when we do, I referenced having Sunday lunch. We will have Sunday lunch. We will have lamb, and we will sit around that table, and that phone will not be out. And I am the worst one for being on my phone.
Do you know what I call that?
Go on.
They're triple F days.
Triple F days.
Yeah. Forced family fun.
Yeah, pretty much. But the thing is, but when we do that and we just put the phones away, say, okay, we're going to have dinner, and then the banter happens. We have the conversation. The kids learn, for 15, 20 minutes how to actually communicate without looking down at a screen. And I'm a lover of tech and what it can do, but you do need to have that piece where we are human beings and we have conversation, intimacy, eye contact. So it's really, really important.
And I think that's a challenge, because I picked up on the end of your live with Sam last night, and you were talking about trust and authenticity came into that. And I think that's the challenge. My parents and I grew up in a generation of phone calls. You'd phone people, and having that connection on the telephone is lovely. Yeah. Having a connection face to face like this virtually is a step better, because you can, we're communicating. Some people are more, other people are less, but we are communicating, and we're being able to pick up on some of the non-verbal. Yeah. But it still doesn't take away from that face to face, that physical. Yeah. And it's all to do with our communication zone. Right. So we talk in House of Colour, we teach people that the most important part to get right in your appearance is this piece here, because it's the communication zone. Okay. If you think when you go out and about and you meet people, you look at their face first, you go between, there is science out there that goes between the eyes, the nose, the mouth, around, but then you'll scan the whole body and back up to the face, always. Okay. There's this, you always start at the top. And of course, the challenge with virtual is we're only communicating with this. You can't see what I've got below the waist. There's all the jokes about I can wear anything or nothing. But the point is, you can't see it. You're having to take all the clues from here. And I liken it, another of the distinctions I use is the iceberg principle. Because with an iceberg, you've got a small proportion above a large proportion below. The bit that you see above has to give you a clue to everything else below. And so what we're doing on Zoom is you are only seeing this. You're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. Whereas at least when I'm out and about and you see what shoes or what bag I've carried, or, you know, it's all the other things, the accoutrements, if you like, the clutter that we bring with us. What kind of cup have you got? What kind of bag have you got? Is it a briefcase? Is it a handbag? Is it fancy? Is it a tatty old satchel because it's an old faithful that's been with you for years? All of these things communicate something very, very subliminally about you. And what I find is the interesting challenge is that the biggest impact, again, it's another principle I refer to, it's like Pareto. The biggest principle is 80-20. So 80% of what you get from me is actually in the 20%. And so if I walked through this screen, people would say, oh, she was wearing a blue dress or a spotty top or a, you know, something, red dress, green dress, blue shirt, brown jacket, whatever the thing to anchor that man or woman is. That's the first thing. It's the color, then it's the item. But actually, when you're working with me, the thing that communicates is the subliminal stuff. It's whether it's fitted or loose, whether it's textured or shiny or matte. Is it lots of different patterns, or is it one thing? Is it a plain color? All these things don't really connect. But if we were going to do a photo fit from the police, for example, that would be maybe what you get to towards the end of the definition. And those are the subliminal messages that we're giving all the time.
So how do I word this? Apart from the fact that how do you make someone look and feel? Let's go look and feel, because it's internal and external. You know, because we talked about this before about having that balance, because one could be high, one could be low, and vice versa. How do you do that? How do you, for all the people that are watching and say, right, do you know what? Like someone just said straight away, I'm enjoying this interview. Nat said, 100%. So how do we now get them to take something from this interview and action it? What's your best advice?
Well, I've always said there's certain things that you have to do in life. One of them is some kind of personal development. One of them is go on safari, because the largest wild animal we have in this country is a deer, and yet you're in Africa. And the other is have color and style. Go and find out. And the reason I trained with House of Color and I invested, it's a franchise business, is because when I did my research, I knew that I had to, with 100% integrity, stand in front of people knowing I was delivering the best possible service to my clients. Okay. And the reason for that is we're very, very thorough in tuning into who the person is. So the problem with a lot of the TV programs out there is they run a formula. And they end up, to a certain extent, you can tell who styled them or what era they were styled in. Okay. Now, the thing with fashion is you can tell. You go back through the photograph albums and you'll tell roughly what year these photos were taken. It's our glasses, it's our hairstyles, it's the size of our beards that gives us away. It's little things like that. But the point about fashion is if you take the bits from fashion that suit you, then you still tell the era, you can still look current, but you don't look like, it's like, are you using fashion or is fashion using you? Yeah, I like that. Am I using fashion to express myself? And so one of the clues, there's a few tips. Get your glasses checked every couple of years, because glasses are right here in that communication zone. If they go out of fashion, it'll do it subtly over time, but in 10 years' time, we will know that you've got a 10-year-old pair of glasses. Right. In 2 years' time, we might know. And actually, this is your ideas. This is where everything comes from. So if you've got dated, if you're not looking through the world with a current pair of lenses, then maybe your ideas aren't current. And all these subliminal messages, people go, wow, but they're subtle. We choose who we listen to in life, and those decisions about whether we listen to them or not come from decisions we made in our head. What's their credibility? Where do they stand? What are their references? How are they presenting themselves? That's really interesting you say that, because I had a conversation. So last Friday, Dan Moskrop, graphic designer, owns an agency called Them.
and we had a conversation because he's got a profile picture and he looks the coolest man on the internet. You know, he used to be the creative director for Getty Images, and he had this set of photos done, and it's the same profile picture he's used forever. He said, the only thing you'll see changing me is the size of my glasses. And he said, all that happens is they get bigger and bigger and bigger. and I get that. That sits with me because literally every year I will change my frames.
Yeah.
Because it's part of my identity. Because up until literally 9-10 months ago, my frames were square. This is the first time I've ever gone round frames. And there's an ongoing joke with my optician saying, yeah, Stephen came on to us when we had our biggest sale on and bought the only pair of frames that were not in the sale.
Because the ones in the sale were last year's frames. Yeah,
I wanted something new, something current, something that suited me, that gave me a little bit of that confidence.
But you were asking what people need to do.
Yep.
And the confidence comes because it tunes into who we are. There's something about who we are. Most people, even if they haven't got children, have been around small children. And if you give them the colouring, the paints, they will automatically go to a similar set of colours. They have a favourite colour.
Yes.
Now, you ask a small child, a toddler, what's your favourite colour? In one son's case, it was pink. In the other son's case, it was blue and green and purple.
Yep.
Why? I only asked for one favourite colour, but blue and green and purple. Because of my training with House of Colour, I understand what his best colours are. And what we know is that colour analysis is a reverse engineering process.
Okay.
You're born with a certain colouring. If you don't like your colouring, then you need to blame your grandparents and previous ancestors, because we're born with a certain look, a certain colouring, a certain body shape, and there are certain parts of our personality that we're also born with that there's nothing that we can do about.
Okay.
You see it in babies if you've seen siblings, two babies come out almost straight away. They're displaying slightly different elements. They're afraid of different things. They're courageous around different things.
Yep.
So we get drawn to certain things, certain personality traits, certain colours, even certain shapes. You'll find that a child will play with just the round blocks or just the square blocks or just the angular blocks or the odd shaped blocks. And if they build something, they might build it in a routine, structured, neat and tidy way, or they'll kind of throw it all together and see where it comes out. And isn't that the same about life? The creativity we bring to something, for some people it's structured, it's systematic, it's ordered, and for other people it's sort of throw it up in the air and see what sticks.
Yeah, I like the creative, messy stuff, but I like it in a neat way.
Yeah. So when we understand those bits about you, we understand how to help you present it to the world.
Yep.
Part of the challenge, and I've seen this over and over again, is that we often have two conflicting parts. We have the extrovert and the introvert trying to do the same job. We have the person that likes to get out and about and go on adventures, and the person that likes to stay at home and feel safe cozy in front of the fire. And quite often, a strong part of our personality is more internal, and then the strong part of our look is external. So if I'm a laid back, easygoing person, but I have the sort of body that requires things to be structured and neat, if I put that laid back, easygoing jumper on me, I feel comfortable, but I don't look my best.
Right. Okay.
Equally, somebody who might be organized and tidy on the inside, they might want structured and neat clothes, and yet when they go out, people go, oh, they look a bit straight-laced, they look a bit stiff, they look a bit hemmed in.
I'm sat here now psychoanalyzing everything I've got on. I'm wearing a lot of grey today.
That's right. But the point is, as and when we get to this stage, we'll be able to look back over, and the beautiful thing about you is you've got so much material on film. You can look back and you can go, oh, I did like that and I felt comfortable in it. And do you know what? I never quite felt comfortable in that. And now I know why.
Oh,
and
yeah, I recall those.
Yeah. We've all got favourites. We've all got things. So you were, again, referring back to the question you were asking about how do we look and feel.
Yep.
The feeling comes when we are connected to ourselves. So when I know I look the best I can, if I walk out, and this has actually happened to us, we went to, so the Peterborough Beer Festival is one of the biggest in the country, and it's where everybody goes to meet everybody they haven't seen since last year. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's like the Norfolk show for you. It's where you go to meet everybody that you haven't seen, and then you meet like old friends, and you don't see them again for another year. And my husband is what we would call an autumn. And so if you imagine all those stunning colours that you see in the autumn leaves, the ochres, the ambers, the olives, they look deadly on me. Okay. And given that I grew up on a farm, I have certain unflattering terms for some of those colours because it relates to some of the natural things we saw around the farm. But the point is, one of his best colours is like a royal purple, and we did find a shirt in exactly that colour. So off we go, and we meet someone down there, and this person, she had a really violently strong negative reaction to his shirt. It's like, oh, what are you wearing that for? Did she pay you to wear that? Where did you find that? All those kind of comments.
Right, okay.
Maybe loosened a little bit by the alcohol, but even so, we both walked away and went, wow, what did that colour ever do to her? Because what we knew, it was her reaction to that colour, not anything to do with how he looked.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and that again is one of the challenges of how we appear. If we appear in tune with ourselves, then people will get us. And if they don't connect to us and don't like us and don't need our services, it's not a problem. But if we're delivering mixed messages, then they can take a reaction to those mixed messages and not actually necessarily get to know who we are. And that's where we build, relating to your conversation last night, that's where we build the trust. If you can get me, if you understand, if you can connect and know me, when you get to know me, you can build that like and trust that leads to engagement. And that's what we need in an online environment. We need to get that authenticity quickly, instantly, powerfully. We need that real person to be able to come down the camera.
So is there anything that people can do, or is there more work to be done? Is there like, okay, I can do these 1, 2, 3 things, and then I'll be making a step forward? Or is there more work to be done internally before they do that? Because I'm sat here, so to put this into perspective, I tell a story about how my ex-wife used to buy me everything that was in grey. Okay. Yeah. And I'm wearing grey today. It wasn't, there was no intention. It was just like, okay, it's hot. What have I got that is okay for me to wear on camera? It's not going to be gaudy and is really loose. This is, and this is one of my favorite All Saints tops. So I was like, right, I can get away with that. It's got a collar on it. That'll look okay. But then I'm sat here thinking, my ex-wife used to buy me everything in grey. I'm sat here, grey top, grey beard, I got grey hair, and then I laughed to myself and think, yeah, but she was colorblind, so everything was grey anyway.
But there's different shades of grey. So
apparently
the greys that I need have a bluey tinge to them. They're a soft grey.
Okay. The
greys that Richard needs, my husband, is a sort of khaki grey. We call it lizard grey, but there's a sort of khaki-ness to it when you compare it to grey. My sisters, for example, both fit in a different season, and the greys they need are very sharp and steely. Yeah. From charcoal through to steel. And then there's another season which we actually realised that all the greys are like they've come off an animal. There's life in them. Dove grey. There's an element of feeling like they're alive, because there's a freshness to them. So it's never about what colour suits you. It's always about what shade of that colour suits you. So when my son chose pink, in his mind, he knew he meant fuchsia pink. So I deliberately provoked him by bringing out a pastel pink. Oh, that's not, to the point that he said, that's not pink, mummy.
Yeah.
That's not even pink, No, he didn't know to call it fuchsia pink because that's a subtlety that we get as we grow older. But he knew. And then he wanted his bedroom in what he called ice blue. Well, if you go, it was when he was little and he was watching the Octonauts a lot. And what he saw in those underwater scenes was that real sharp turquoise, that crystal clear turquoise. And I know that's one of his best colours. I just didn't fancy a whole bedroom painted in it. So I was a bit mischievous and I said, and I chose the other part of the ice, which is almost translucent and white, and said, oh, there you go, there's your There's your ice blue. So, and that's the challenge. So the first thing probably, if absolutely go and find a house of colour consultant, blatant promotion, but actually that's, for me, the best place to get a reliable result is to find your consultant. If you really want to take this to the next level, you can't do it. It's like social media. You've got to go do your homework. You've got to find how it works. And this is how you find out how it works. But if you're starting from now and you're not going to take that step, tune into the times in your life where you felt happiest, most comfortable. Notice what you had around you. Notice what your favorite clothing was. It might be your rainbow striped jumper from the 70s that came back round again, but is it the stripes that you were particularly drawn to, or is it the brightness of the colours, or was it the style of it? You know, immediately in my mind, I've got a picture of me when I was about 8 in a polo neck rainbow striped jumper, and I loved it.
Yeah.
It didn't suit me, but I now know why. There was something about the neat style that I liked. There was something about the colours that I liked. Yeah. But actually, the one thing I liked was the structure that the stripes provided. I have to find other ways to put that in. But we've all got those times where we had things in our lives that we loved. It might be a shirt, it might be a picture, it might be the wall the colour you chose for your bedroom wall. It might be the presents that you buy. There's somebody I know in my life who can't quite give herself permission to buy the brightness of colours that she needs to look her best, but she loves them so much she gives them to everybody for Christmas. So look at the kind of presents, because we don't deliberately want to give something to somebody that is horrible. A present, the whole point of a present is we want it to be that I've been thinking about you.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is the difference it's made to me understanding this whole language is if I was going to buy you a present now, I would really think carefully about what do I see Steve? What do I see him around? What do I see him with? What kind of thing? What kind of sense of humour? And we do that when we've got people in our life we know really well.
Yeah.
The danger is if we don't recognise where we get influenced by our own preferences.
It's really interesting to say that.
I buy something for you that I should maybe keep for myself because I like it so much.
I used to wear, do you know what? I would wear now, it's just too damn hot. For me, everything, so if I was going to a meeting, if I was going to do anything on stage, presentation, anything like that, I would be in jeans, waistcoat, shirt.
Yeah.
And I would usually have either a matching jacket to go with the waistcoat. So, and it was all tweedy. It was all very hipster. Or the jacket would be a contrast to the waistcoat, but still in that tweedy. So I've got like half a dozen Ted Baker waistcoats and I would wear them with a tweed jacket. And then a pair of jeans and usually a white shirt. And that was kind of my uniform. And it would depending on what color it was wearing and what I was doing, I would mix it up either between a pair of brogues or actually a pair of trainers, depending on the relaxed look of the jacket. But since this year, that has all stayed in my wardrobe and I have just gone jeans and shirt.
Yeah.
And it's this is so I'm like I've got some amazing. I love clothes. I love clothes shopping. That gives me an element of happiness.
Yeah, and for other people, it fills them with fear and dread.
Yeah. I mean, I love going out shopping. I mean, it's funny because everyone, the cliche is, oh, women love shopping, guys get dragged along. No, my other half, she loves going shopping for specific, she'll go clothes shopping for specific things for her. She has a very look and style that, it's very, I suppose, pre-50s and Chanel look, But then at the moment, she's gone very into baggy trousers because of the heat and this, that, and the other. So it's interesting how things change. And I've always seen I look at my wardrobe now and I think, okay, it goes black, it goes grey, it goes white, and then the other two key colours in there are blue and red. But blue, very much with regards to shirts and things like that, and red will be like a t-shirt or the odd shirt.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed is actually they're my brand colors as well.
Yeah. And that makes sense because when your business is you, we instinctively need our business to be an expression of ourselves. And therefore you...
I had to put it up. I saw it.
That's not shopper, absolutely. The thing about this is for those who love to shop, they don't waste money on rubbish anymore because I'll bet you if you love to shop, you've also got a huge wardrobe and half of it you don't wear.
Yes, I was having this other conversation with Phil Tarling, who is a stylist and consultant. He works with the BBC, and he's a stylist at, I'm sure it's the London College of Fashion, something, one of those. You know, he dressed, so he kits out Ben Shepherd and Carol Vorderman, this, that, and the other, and he does a thing called like a wardrobe detox. And he said, we're going to get your wardrobe down to 30%. I went, you're not. No, you're not.
Well,
it's like a hobby. It's an Olympic sport for me.
There's so many things that I could pull on, and we haven't got enough time. But the point about, if you look at the principle he's coming from, is that we only wear about 20. It's the 80-20 again. We only wear about 20% of our wardrobe. So let's just consider, never mind the unused money sitting in the 80%. You know, some people actually acknowledge there's still tags on some of those clothes that they've never actually worn. Take the 20%. Did I nail you on that one? So take that 20%. Let's focus on the positive. 20% of clothes that you wear and you love them and you feel comfortable. Then find the things that replicate more of that. So you could double the size of that 20%, and you've still only got 40% compared to your current wardrobe, and you would have more than double of what you could wear. Because the principle is, and this comes back to your heart brand, what you want to do is tune people into who they are. Now, have you noticed that if you go to a party where you only know one friend, but they're a really good friend that's invited you, you meet a whole bunch of other people that you, funnily enough, you get on with. Because there's a common thing through that friendship that you get connected. So if I'm friends with you, then the chances are I won't necessarily have something in common with all your friends, but there will be a huge chunk of your friends because I connect to you that I could also connect to. So bring that principle back to you. Instead of me having a wardrobe with the work outfit, the lunch outfit, the holiday outfit, the green outfit, the blue outfit, the red outfit, I have a whole load of clothes and accessories that suit me. So the top suits me, the skirt suits me, the trousers suit me, the jackets suit me. And that's where you get the mix and match wardrobe.
Right.
Because everything goes with, not necessarily everything goes with everything else. I personally wouldn't put pink and red together very often, but there are patterns where pink and red goes together. And there are certain personalities that love that clashing, that kind of friction that they put in to wake people up. That's not my personality, but that's a very valid way of doing it. So if you understand what suits you, you can spend probably 20% of what you're currently spending and have double the amount that you can wear. And instead of 2 or 3 colors, you can have access to the whole rainbow of colors because you know exactly which shade of green, red, yellow, pink, blue to choose for you. And then those green, red, yellows work together. Right. So you can create much more interesting outfits.
We need to have a conversation on a particular looking yellow jumper that I love, and I would never buy it. It looks amazing. I think, oh, look at that with a really nice pair of indigo denim jeans. I'm like, oh, and I nearly bought one last Christmas just because I loved it because it looked great on the mannequin. I was like, it's not going to look great on me.
Yeah. But that's really good. That's a really good observation because I now know, I, as a teenager, and you and I have talked about this before, most people don't recognize me from when I was a teenager in my 20s. The friends who knew me go, oh, it's still the same Jackie. But the outward appearance and the internal confidence and strength I've got is unrecognizable because I was always trying to, I always doubted myself. So if somebody, Samantha loves clashing. Absolutely. Some people love it. I would, I've lost my thread now, Samantha.
Sorry.
What was I saying? School. I got too many things in my head. What was I saying?
It was about school and people would recognize you because they know you, but not the outward and inward.
Yeah, because I was always trying to get it right. I'm a perfectionist, you know. I have high standards. Therefore, when it comes to appearance, I'm also always trying to get it right. And if somebody said to me, if I went shopping and I picked something up and go, this is nice, and they might say, oh, is it? Not really. I go, oh, I must be wrong. Or if they pick something up and they say, this is nice, my internal conversation might be, is it? Oh, I'm definitely wrong because I'm not sure I like that. Maybe. So it's almost like I assumed there was an absolute right and wrong with clothing because I hadn't got enough confidence in myself to trust my own judgment. When I now go out wearing something, I often have a good laugh with some of my friends, and you will have seen this in some of my communications with you. There's a sense of humor. I might come out and you might say, oh, don't like your dress. I go, yeah, that's because it doesn't suit you. And off I go.
You know what? I'm going to just put something on the screen right now.
No to the yellow jumper.
So, Jackie, we're going to find that yellow jumper that suits me.
Okay, we will find. But interestingly, I never used to wear yellow. I really don't like yellow. But what I've learned is that there's only really one shade of yellow that suits me, and it's a very soft grey primrose yellow. And so most people's experience of yellow is post-it yellow or buttercup yellow or banana yellow or, fluorescent yellow. All of those will I will either look cheap or they will look cheap on me. So it's about finding that right colour for you. So yes, there is a yellow for you, Steve. Yes, we can find it for you.
Right.
But it's about getting that match.
Because it's actually in my front room.
Oh.
Because it's in my front room. The cushions on the grey sofa. We've got a lovely grey Chesterfield, got yellow cushions on it. The big beanbag is like a velvet in this rich yellow. My curtains in my lounge are that yellow. And then the walls are a deep indigo blue with as an accent wall, and then the white. So if she doesn't like my jumper, she's never coming around to sit on my beanbag again.
But the point is, there's also something in the energy of colour. And to be fair, it then broadens into a really massive area. And I'm working on a project with somebody around personal brand, Nick Horton, who Vibe to Tribe. He's about finding the branding colours that are right for you to connect to your tribe, to attract your tribe to you.
Ooh.
So the thing about that is sometimes there's a colour that maybe doesn't look great on me, but it has a strong resonance with me. And that may be where the yellow is. And so if, let's say, back in the days when I was a consultant and actually doing the colour analysis, if there was a colour like the yellow and maybe it was the shade of yellow that didn't suit you, I might say something like, well, then put it on your wall where you can look at it, not on you where we have to look at it.
Yep.
But all of these things, there's an energy to colour. And I don't know if you can see the wall behind me is a very pale blue. When I first decorated this office, I had a very pale pink. It's my colour and I loved it. But then there was a point where I was doing some filming a bit like this and I realised that red jacket with pink walls wasn't the best look. Right. So overnight, I painted it blue so I could get the filming done. And the difference in the energy to my room. So pink is a cosy, warm, but almost a claustrophobic colour for me. It's a high energy colour and it kind of takes over pink and red and that whole family. Blue is a cool, clear colour. And so it allows my brain, which as you can tell is very, very active, it allows me to keep in a cool, clear space. So the colours come from our clothing to our environment. And if we start at the core with who we are, then you move out and gradually you have your whole world working much more, supporting you in who you are around you. And as a simple example, when I got married, my uncle, who is an architect by training, he commented after the wedding to say that was one of the most coordinated weddings he's ever been to. I didn't try to coordinate it at all. I just went, I like that, I like that, I like that, I like that. And strangely enough, it all came together.
Yeah.
And when the invitation, another friend of mine designed the invitation for me, and when it landed on another friend's door, she just burst out laughing. She said, I didn't even need to open it. I saw the picture on the front and I knew it was yours. Because it was in line with who I am. It was the right colours, it was the right styles, it was the right imagery.
I love it. Jackie, thank you ever so much. I've really enjoyed this. I need to do some work with you. Simple as that.
Yeah.
You need to. Absolutely. In the meantime, where can everyone connect with you? Where's the best place for them to come and find you?
The best place to find me is on LinkedIn, Jackie Perkins. That's where I'm active at the moment. And get in touch, give me a call. I'm also in that exploratory stage where we are identifying just how many different ways we can match up that internal and that external confidence so that we build that platform and we grow because the stronger we all are in our own selves, the less we feel threatened by the world, the less we have to prove to the world. We can all go out and be ourselves, and just that would make the world a more peaceful place.
It absolutely will. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Stephen. Always a pleasure.
Awesome. Cool. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Wow. So, my friends, it's all about color, and it's about the shades, and it's about how it makes you feel internally and externally, and building that up together. So if you've got any questions for Jackie, please throw them in the comments. Check out Jackie Perkins on LinkedIn and connect with her and ask the questions, and build up the rapport and the conversation to see how you can change how you, I suppose, look and feel internally and externally to build your personal brand, to impact on that, so you can actually build the audience you want, your tribe that Jackie referred to, and bring people closer to you to have those communications and those conversations. We have another 4 or maybe 5 interviews left to go in our 24-hour marathon. I also want to invite you to a kind of an after party. The last interview will finish at 7:30, and then from 7:30 onwards, for about half an hour, I'm going to bring people on who have been watching. So, all you viewers out there, if you want to come and join and share your experience of what's happened over the last 24 hours, then please do. If the people in the TWSD community want to come and join me, then come and say hi and introduce yourself, share a bit about your experience with regards to the TWSD community, how you've done work with us and how you are impacting the world and uniting on purpose. Because this whole thing is just to kickstart the economy. That's what Unite on Purpose is about. It's about joining the quiet revolution. What's your internal compass saying? How do you want to how do you want to sort of look, feel, share your voice out there on the world stage? Because actually, there's no barriers. If you want a TV show, start a Facebook Live. If you want your own radio show, start a podcast. Nothing is out of your reach. Take care, my friends, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.